mother, and so forth, is constituted by thirst-like craving and is blamable. For those who dwell in mundane compassion, though love is blameless, it is still mundane. On the other hand, the Bodhisattva's love is constituted by compassion and is both blameless and transmundane. And that is the unbearable or radical compassion we will talk about tomorrow. However, in the Buddhist teachings, you will also see that the training actually starts right where we are, and the compassion that we can relate to is actually this blamable compassion. Yeah? Once again, why is it blamable? Because first of all, the compassion that we have is for the ones that are dear to us, that are near to us. The ones who are further away, the ones who wreck our nerves, it's more difficult to have compassion. For that, we need more training. But there is a natural part of compassion that can be observed also in animals, yeah, the way even dangerous animals who kill others, maybe most animals kill others to survive, but they have a soft side for their own offspring, yeah, and that is seen as a caring element that is just there in sentient beings. Our societies, they are built on the fact that we care for one another to a certain degree, otherwise we wouldn't function, yeah? Everybody would overpower the other and try to survive by eradicating others. And you know, we are not like that, yeah? We are very happily together. Most people are happy when it is peaceful and respectful and loving among them. So, since this is the natural, the inborn experience that we all have to a certain degree, sometimes maybe we are not so aware of it, but it is, some spark is there. Then the training methods, they also start with that. And therefore, I would like to invite you now to start with a little meditation exercise on the basis of the compassion training. And that's not even something that is emphasized in the Buddhist teachings, at least not in these words, but we will meditate, and in the end, actually, I will have you discuss about how that relates to what you know about Buddhist practice. And the exercise that we will do now is that we will recall a moment or several experiences of having received compassion. Because in order to give compassion, we have to know how it feels like, how we have been benefited from compassion. When we have the impression that we are full, that we are filled with compassion, that others have been good to us, then it is much more easy to share. To share this with others around us. Sometimes we might take it for granted. Also, some of you might feel that you actually did have a much harder life than others, and might think there's not that much of compassion that I did receive from others. However, everybody has received something, otherwise we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't have survived. Therefore, the first exercise is to go into ourselves and find an experience of compassion that will serve as a secure base out of which we can extend compassion and loving kindness to others. Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, so first of all, just sit comfortably with a straight back and become aware of your breathing. Settle into your body. Just be here right now. And within this relaxed awareness, now recall a simple moment of caring, a caring connection that you were able to build with somebody in your own life, with a person, maybe your teacher, who just gave you encouragement, or a parent where you felt you are accepted the way you are, or friends or peers who touched you in a way and gave you the feeling that the way you are is totally okay. And you try to re-inhabit that moment and re-experience yourself as being seen and loved within it. And probably there will be distraction, but you just always come back to re-inhabiting that moment. Probably after a while the mind wanders, so try to think of yet another moment of care. And again, do not only remember it, but put yourself really into the situation. Try to feel what you felt at the time. Try to feel the gentleness, the support. Get the texture of that experience. And then just sit in it. Okay. Was it difficult to come up with? Oh, sorry, I didn't want to show that actually. I will take this off now. Was it difficult to remember something? No. Let's take a few moments where you pair up with whoever is closest to you in a group of 2 or 3 and talk about a few things within this experience. I don't know how many people are online. Yeah, okay. And find out with one another how you would describe this experience of compassion. How does it feel to be seen or to feel seen? And also related to that, what else came up while you were doing this meditation? Yeah, were you bored? Did you feel this? That's not helpful, or was there resistance? Thinking, I can't actually remember ever being loved, or it is embarrassing to feel like that. Yeah, just explore in talking with your neighbor about what this experience, this recollection of experiencing compassion felt like. Okay. Good question. Let's say 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Let's say 7 minutes, and then we'll get together, talk about it. And you don't need to be afraid, whatever you don't want to share, you don't. But I'm hoping it brings more clarity. would come up or did come up. Nanda.
So we had a really nice talk and exchange, and for me it was most that I had not so much just images or situations. It was more like a body sensation I had. It's very special when you maybe in a hard time or you have a really in a struggle, and then you receive this kind of calmness, softness, quietness, support from somebody else, and it feels in the body really like a softness and a release, and it's really special. Mm-hmm. And this was my experience I was sharing with the others.
Thanks. Would somebody else like to share how they experience?
For us, our exchange was a little bit different. We more went in a critical way, like when we felt the compassion, either in some ways we did ask ourselves, maybe we're not worthy that this person gives us compassion now, or also some other patterns where, but this person just wants something from us and that's why they are compassionate. So it was really difficult. And then we were wondering if it's like a diluted kind of compassion, if there's something like diluted, if it is still compassion, if it is diluted, like in the sense we are talking right now. So it's interesting things.
Those are very good points, because part of the spiritual path is to, first of all, get to know one's mind, understand what is going on, and therefore it is important to see what kind of thoughts come up, and therefore it is important also to acknowledge that these thoughts of I'm not worthy of it, or they're nice to me because they want something from me, that this comes up. There are ways, of course, how one can deal with thoughts and emotions if we think they're problematic. But right now, we don't want to go there. We just want to acknowledge that that's what's happening. And I think, I don't know if that is only something that was discussed by the two of you. I can totally relate to that, to those kind of thoughts and feelings. And I somehow assume that everybody has sometimes blockages to receiving loving kindness and emotion. Am I right? Or is somebody here who says, no, that's not me at all? Okay, Victoria.
I just was very grateful to have this person. That it was warm, and it was so grateful to having him. Yeah. So, or her, I don't know.
Yes.
And I was also disappointed because on the other side, somebody appeared who didn't help me, and I accepted that this one helped me. And so Sarah said, maybe I was not worth. That's also the thinking about.
Okay, that is maybe then the flip side, If we think we are worthy because others love us, then when somebody doesn't show us love and compassion, that we deduce, no, I'm not worthy. In the progression of the meditation, of course, the idea of receiving compassion, receiving kindness is a stepping stone, or let's say is the basis from which we can start giving loving kindness, friendliness, and compassion to others, right? Did you explore this relationship where you felt, because you received, you also felt like wanting to share with others? Did that come up for anyone? Monica, right? Here, do you want to share?
Yeah, my experiences were like 3 years ago. I was having a difficult situation and I was in a hospital for a time. And then when I arrived there, for me, this compassion, also for my family before going to the hospital, when they realized what happened, for me was a kind of relief and protection. And then during this time at the hospital, as soon as I was feeling better, I was feeling happy again, and I was having this kind of feeling to protect the other people, what was coming out naturally from my side. No?
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wants to address this point of, giving after having received? Yes. Sorry, I don't know your name really.
Zach.
Zach. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I'd say just going back on my own past moments when I had the most memorable compassion is through affirmation of me as sort of my value and as a person. And I like to carry that, especially when you're talking to others, that weight that affirmation, that compassion can have. And I still carries a lot of emotion for me even many years later. So especially if you're when I work with children or with people who are going through a hard time, keeping a knowledge of the impact that can have on their lives.
Mm-hmm. And with affirmation, you just mean verbally?
Just verbally talking about that you are valuable, that you are the merits of you, and because that is something we don't often get. I feel a lot of people from that, and you carry a lot of weight of the self-doubt or directly people diminishing you.
Yeah.
So to get an honest affirmation, you remember it many, many years later, it stays with you.
Okay. So in this context, I understand when people said something kind about you, were praising you, then that is something that is felt like a moment of compassion, and that is something that then in other moments you want also to give to others. Is that the
I would say
conclusion?
not just praise, just that you're loved,
Yeah.
that you have value to them, that you are a person that people have compassion for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. The word praise, I realize, maybe from Buddhist literature, it has a different feel for me. I've read it so often. It is just in the sense of acknowledging, saying something about somebody's qualities. Yeah. But I think in English it's used often differently here. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, so just to add on being on the other side, what my wife just mentioned, so getting also feeling also support from family, from friends, from co-workers to set the right priorities and having time for taking care of family at these difficult times, and showing or get the compassion from the others to use this and also get this compassion and then use it for taking care of my wife was just exactly the situation you mentioned. So you received it from others, from friends, from family, so that you are able to focus on and give this compassion to people who need it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So there's a connection between generosity and compassion. Yeah. Having received, and then you can give.
Yeah, I also share this experience that when we are, or that when I feel supported and loved and cared for, it's much easier and it comes quite natural to act in a kind way. So at least not that I have it consciously that I say, oh, now I want to give it to someone else, but it's just comes more easier as when I feel like I'm just running on my own resources or batteries, then it's very hard to give. So I realize now it's just so good to have this like a garden around us of many of like full resources somehow.
Yeah. Okay, so why did I bring up this exercise? Why is it important in developing compassion, especially that we just heard that this is the blamable compassion, this kind of emotional love and compassion between family and friends. So I did bring it up because the experience with a lot of teachers of Buddhist meditation in the West has been that the the most well-known and strongest compassion meditation meets with resistance, because that compassion meditation, and we will learn more about it in the next days, it is called giving and taking, and especially the aspect of willingly taking the suffering of others onto myself often meets with doubt, thinking, how can I be capable of doing that, and why should I do it? I'm hardly able to keep up with my own life, and it's difficult enough, and I don't have the capacity to care more for others. So therefore, in Buddhism, and also I think in the psychology, there's the idea that you have to have some kind of a basis, some kind of a context in which it is possible to, give a little bit up of your comfort, accept a little bit of discomfort if it helps somebody else. Within this framework, it is possible to give up a little bit of my happiness, share it with others. So there's a little opening for that, and it needs a basis. If I feel completely worthless, completely overwhelmed, it wouldn't make any sense to even think of helping others. I have to have some clarity and stability in myself. The compassion meditations that we will look at, as I mentioned, they are not only meant for Buddhists. Therefore, a lot of Buddhist teachers have thought about ways of explaining the meditations in a way that they do not simply rely on Buddhist terminology. So now I have another question for you, and maybe we take... Now we don't have that much time, but let's just think about it and discuss it. What you explored, this moment of compassion, of having received compassion, serves as a secure base out of which the meditation, the giving, the compassionate and kind action can take place. In Buddhism, what is this secure base out of which a Buddhist would act compassionately?
Could you rephrase that?
Yeah. As a Buddhist, what gives you the security, the basis out of which you think, I can give away from my happiness, I can accept suffering of others, I have some strength, I have a secure base. Here in kind of secular, non-Buddhist terms, we said the secure base is provided by having had the experience of being worthy of receiving compassion and being able also to give compassion. There's some experience there that gives us the secure base. In Buddhism, what could be the secure base? Does anybody have an idea of where you draw your inspiration from?
Are you talking about Buddha nature?
I talk about all kinds of things. We are brainstorming. Buddha nature, Can you explain a little bit more why? Oh yeah, you need a microphone. And can you explain more why you think Buddha nature provides a secure base? Genau, we need luminosity, then you can speak.
Thank you. It's said to be the ultimate protection, the undestroyable. Therefore, I think that's the most healthy aspect of our mind. And although we do not know yet what that is, we are being guided there. And along that guidance, I mean, there is already so much approximation to that indestructible aspect, and that really helped me to believe in myself, and that increased my generosity along with the practice.
So you said we don't exactly know yet what it is, but we believe in it, right? And therefore believe in.
It starts with a belief, and for example, this exercise about compassion, self-compassion. What I have, I can share, I can give, and the more I do that, the more exchanges that is happening. I have grown, and that is kind of the approximation towards Buddha nature. I think I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, very good. I mean, very good. I'm not evaluating. Thank you for sharing. And Nanda also has.
I would say it's in the moment when I start my practice, taking refuge and just connecting with the lineage, with the Buddhas, and also remembering the blessings and the presence. This is maybe also what makes me able to, have compassion.
Yeah. There were a lot of things in there. Yeah, taking refuge is everybody familiar with the idea of taking refuge? So there's the it's kind of connecting oneself to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in a way of knowing there are guides outside. There are teachers, there's the Dharma, there's the Sangha outside, but also inside, and that is then where Buddha nature comes in. There's the Buddha of the mind. All of these are the dimensions into which we take refuge, and that gives a secure base out of which we can act. And then Nanda was also mentioning the lineage. So there's the idea, I don't know, do you want to say more about it? No. Okay. What does lineage mean to you? We all have lineage prayers and have done them probably.
So I just maybe say for me to have a refuge lama and have a lineage and have a connection, a heart connection means guru yoga, means trust and confidence. To be able to just visualize someone, or I can speak to him, I can see him, I can feel him, and have the confidence or the trust that he helps me.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And then not only the lineage lama, but throughout the ages.
I have a question. It's more like I have a feeling I have this secure base, but what about the people that is not Buddhist on a secular way? How they can have or how we can help that they have a kind of secure base?
Yeah. There are teachers, as I mentioned, who have done exactly that. John McCrunsky, Paul Condon are two teachers, for example, who have developed compassion training that has changed names. One was innate compassion training. The idea basically is to look at what Buddhists do when they take refuge, when they have faith in Buddha nature, when they connect to the root lama and to the lineage. What does it do to the mind, and how can people who do not feel like they want to even to become Buddhist, or they have already a faith tradition, but how can they connect to these qualities of the mind? And one thing that they found is that everyone has had experiences where they felt held, they felt inspired in a way that they can become generous to others, or sometimes it's even more personalized, like when we talk about the root lama, then it is a person who has a special role in our lives because he or she inspired a deep connection. Actually, the root lama is defined by the one who opens a glimpse into the nature of the mind, which gives total trust into the Buddhist path. Maybe for people who do not have a spiritual path, that doesn't happen, but most people have somebody or several people in their lives who have left a deep imprint, and where we feel grateful that they have given us a nudge into a good direction in our life. So recalling these people and developing a gratitude to them, and also getting in touch with this feeling of having been at least by some people, totally accepted the way we are, and having the qualities that enable us to share with all beings. That gives the secure base, the starting point that the Buddhists find in the refuge. Yeah? And so that is how we kind of came through the back door to this idea. Yeah. Victoria.
You just asked because I think I can do it. I think I want to help them not to suffering. Then when I do it, to take the, I don't know this in English. Ich denke mal, wenn ich jetzt...
Sag's in Deutsch, ich kann es auch übersetzen.
Okay. Wenn ich jetzt diese glaube, dass ich denen helfen kann in meinen Gedanken und dass ich auch meine Gedanken dann weniger wichtiger nehme, dass ich mir da auch mal helfen kann durch diese. Du hast ja früher gefragt, warum ich glaube, dass ich das schaffe. Ich glaube auch, dass ich mir damit hilf selber.
Ja. Willst du übersetzen?
I think when I take on the suffering of others, it has the effect that I take my own thoughts, and I believe in that I'm helping the others. It has the effect that I also take my own thoughts less serious, and that helps me. So this is the reason why I think I can help others through this kind of mental practice.
Und kannst du noch mal ein bisschen genauer sagen, wie genau hilfst du dir? Oh yeah, I'm asking how exactly do you think you are helping yourself?
Weil ich glaube, dass ich mich noch nicht so wichtig nehme, dass ich die anderen ein bisschen vor mich stelle, dass ich mir ein bisschen zurücknehmen kann und lerne, mich zurückzunehmen.
Und wenn du das tust, was ist ich meine, manche würden sagen, warum soll ich mich klein machen? Warum soll ich mich zurückstellen? Was für eine Erfahrung ist das? Warum meinst du, das ist was Gutes?
Weil ich eigentlich helfen will. Über das habe ich noch nicht nachgedacht.
No, interesting, very good. So the experience that Victoria is talking about of actually what Birgit also had translated before, when we forget about ourselves or do not take our own thoughts for the most important, then there is some space, some openness for others. And I asked, why do you think you feel better? And Victoria then said, well, I want to help. Yeah. And so it sounded like it makes me happy to help. Yeah. You were laughing when you said that. Okay. Thank you all for sharing your experiences. So this today what we did is explore some of the concepts of what compassion could be or could not be, especially in comparison to related concepts, related mental states. It's not only concepts, yeah, related mental states like empathy, sympathy, emotions. Then we explored what in our culture people say about compassion. We explored a little bit what Mahayana Buddhist philosophers, foremostly Asanga, tells us about compassion. We didn't go to the end because Buddhists make a distinction between compassion according to the state of wisdom that you have. When you are an ordinary person, you have compassion. Everybody has some kind of a soft spot. That is natural, and that is what we explored here right now. Tomorrow we will go and look at what these Buddhist masters tell us about the compassion of Bodhisattva, which goes beyond the ordinary by definition. And of course, as we can expect from Buddhists, they're mind-blowing, so then it is unbearable and radical and immeasurable and so on. So we will look at that and what Buddhist masters tell us about how one can even approach something that seems so far out, so far beyond this emotional realm that we have been dealing with now. And then here in the second part of today's discussion, I focused and I let you focus more on the emotional part because despite all these high ideals of bodhisattvas, the connecting point for many is easiest through feeling, through emotions, yeah, because being touched is the way we experience compassion ourselves. So that is a good starting point then to extend that feeling of being loved, being touched, this warm feeling to others. And tomorrow we'll also learn more about the techniques of how to extend that in this practice of Tonglen that has been practiced here for many years, every week or every day, even sometimes. Yeah. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there are many varieties of that. Yes, actually, a text with 100 different texts on Tonglen, and there are many different approaches. And the traditional way, the most well-known way, is the mind training in 7 points, and the formal aspect, the formal practice of that is giving and taking. So we'll look at that. I think with this for today, I'll close, and yes, we will have a dedication. So for that, please take again the texts, and it is on page 11, I believe. 11. So again, we'll recite first together in Tibetan and then together in English. And we recite until, wait a minute. Okay, then we will do that 11 and 12. Oi janjo semjo rimbo che ma ke pa na ke gyor che ke ba nyam ba me ba yang gong ne gong do bal war shu. May the supreme and precious mind of enlightenment awaken in those where it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never decrease, but continue to flourish forevermore. Sunam deye tamche sepa ne tomne nebe danam bamche ne kega na cha bala chukpa ye sebe tsole dowa durwa re shu. By this merit may I attain omniscience, having defeated the enemy misdeeds. May I free all beings from the ocean of existence, with its stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. And in the wisdom tradition of the Mahayana, the final dedication is actually to connect back to the teachings that we received from John Donne about emptiness and non-duality. And there is, even if we are not realized, a final thought that ultimately there's actually nobody dedicating. There's no sentient beings receiving a dedication, and there's nothing that is being dedicated. And even though that might feel like an artificial thought, through the habit, it is a way of approaching this non-dual state where you don't have the duality of the subject and the object and the action in between. Yeah. So therefore, just one moment, the ultimate dedication. Thank you.